Hey gang, so I was going to check in and see if we can use artificial intelligence coding agents, particularly in Cursor, with creating Roblox games. How well would that work? And so, to be honest, I went through this once to kind of work out some of the bugs, but this is the second time through, which leaves it pretty raw. But I think that will help kind of answer some of these questions. So the first problem is when you're creating a game is you have a graphical interface that you're going to have to generate, where a tool like Cursor or VS Code with the foundation model state-of-the-art artificial intelligence agents have no access to that. So you run into a problem where you're going to have to code in two environments. This isn't super new. You're going to run into those kind of problems when you're doing any kind of visual interface, such as doing websites, though there are certainly more integration efforts there to make that easier. So the idea was, let's see if we can jointly create a game inside of Roblox Studio, and in this case Cursor, with a plugin called Rojo that is commonly used to code. Now, the biggest problem with Rojo is that it gives you phenomenal access to your code, but it doesn't allow you to see, or I guess you can see them, but you can't create the models. So the first step in this project is to open up Studio and kind of get a framework of some models to interact with to make this work. So here's the plan. We're going to create a tower defense mechanic. We'll take the traditional balloons that will follow a path. They'll go around the path, and then we'll work on that mechanic for a little bit, make sure the balloons are working, that we can spawn them, and the structure is somewhere what we would like. And then we'll create towers to attack the balloons and destroy them. So if you try this in the raw, you can easily build your models and build up a sort of environment that we can use. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're also going to use Roblox's internal AI agent to see exactly what it's capable of. To be honest, in comparison with the other tools, is pretty lacking. The one advantage that the AI tools in Roblox has is that it can directly interface with Roblox Studio, so it can do actions for you, and it does this by creating scripts that are run inside the command line to create actions within Studio. So let's get started. We have a blank project here, and it's the normal gray, so let's try something like creating grass. So go to view, find assistant, which is at least on my screen on the bottom right of the open view panes there, at least the list there, and open up assistant, and let's just say something like make a grass. Actually, let's say make the base plate grass. Simple enough request, right? There's no real technical knowledge in there other than you need to know that there's a base plate. And you can see it creates a script and then does some kind of grassy gray structure on top of the base plate. Ironically, you can actually see the base plate there, but that's fine. We're not really going for aesthetics so much here. We're just seeing if we can get a working Roblox game going. So let's make it a little bit greener, just to satisfy my own need for grass. And I just say make it more green. it creates a script, and then voila, your base plate's green. So now, this isn't going to be a production game, so we're just going to grab some path models. So I like the, let's see here. Let's start out with some caves, so that way we'll have something for the balloons to come in and out of. So I think we'll just, well, instead of looking at a model, let's try to see if the AI assistant will create us some caves in texture. I highly doubt this will work, but let's just explore the functionality here. So it goes and creates the script and creates a giant brown brick that is supposed to be, oh well, maybe there's some like rock on there too. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Let's get rid of that and let's just go grab a cave model out of models, and let's just throw it in here and duplicate it, make another one. And so now we have a pair of caves with the spawning block there in the middle. And yeah, so now we can go and create a path. We can grab some stone path, and like, guys, I'm not a model guy, so watching me fool around with these visual models is not going to be fun, but I'll try to speed through it for you. Let's create some paths that basically go inside of each of these caves from one to the other. And what we were going to want is our breakables to go across this path and out of one cave and into the other. So speed this along, create the path so that we get it in there. Okay, so now let's think about this for a little bit. So we are going to need a way for the balloons to automatically go through here. You might be able to tie that to a path. Look at, different points of the path and maybe a certain distance from the bottom. That seems a little bit hard, like maybe creating a raycast down towards the floor and looking for height. So I think it's really always going to follow the same path, right? So if it's going to always follow the same path, let's just do waypoints. I do recall a long time ago that there's some other probably better functionality to create paths. Please leave that down in the comments if you have a better idea for a path. But if we just create waypoints, we can just set a set of waypoints down the path. We'll leave them right now. We'll leave them just gray blocks or gray parts as the waypoints, but we can just later make these untouchable and transparent, or non-collide and transparent, and we can just have the balloons follow it, right? So let's just create a bunch of waypoints. So name it waypoint, duplicate, 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 and move. And we can set different waypoints. Again, we're not really going for aesthetics here. We're going to look for like programmatic functionality of AI. And other than using the AI in Roblox Studio, we haven't really done anything special yet. So now, once we have our waypoints, you'll notice that we put our waypoints up in workspace in a folder called waypoints. We are likely going to want those all in the same folder. That allows us to do things programmatically later, like just pull up the number of waypoints in a folder and just go through them in order. And like, if you're working on this mechanic, you're not going to have this singular map, and you're not going to want to reduplicate your work, right? So what you're going to want to do is allow for and plan for there to be n number of waypoints, right? So we have 7 in here, but you might need 50 in some map as you go by. And if you want the balloons to or whatever breakable you're using to be smooth, you might need a whole lot, right? Which is probably why this is probably simplistic way to do this. There's probably a better way, but regardless, put them all in the same folder for now. Now we need to think about structure. So here is the first real kind of halfway measure into bending the AI assistant to your will. If you don't include structure to start, the AI assistant is liable to start sticking scripts everywhere. In fact, I'm sure that we'll run into this anyway, but we're going to try to force it into a certain structure. So we're going to need folders in server script service, replicated storage, and starter player scripts. And we want these to be a little bit portable because we're building a mechanic here, and we want to later move this into maybe a real game if you're going to go down this path. And so I'm just going to name these folders breakable system. So for the server script service, it'll be breakable system SSS, so we know where it goes. Replicated storage, it'll be breakable system RS, so we again know where it goes. And let's go ahead and put one in server storage, though I'm not sure we'll need this in a simple mechanic yet, but it would be breakable system SS. And starter player scripts, because we're going to need at least some little user interface. We're not going to do an actual visual user interface, but we'll need to be able to place the turrets later, and so we'll need to be able to interact as a player. So this is going to be breakable system SPS for starter player scripts. So and if you're brand new to this, a lot of this stuff is just go practice. That's how you learn everything. It's how I learned. Watch videos on simple scripting. Definitely learn Lua. The AI is definitely going to help you out a lot, but I almost guarantee through this project today, it is going to get stuck, and you're going to have some kind of developer knowledge to fix it. So I tend to like to put all the visualization kind of aesthetic non-interactive map stuff in a folder called maps, and then I have other special folders that we're going to access programmatically. So in map, we're going to put all the objects that we don't deal with, and in or at least until I mess it up, we're going to have another breakable system that is in workspace, because we'll need to have those waypoints there in the workspace so that the breakables will follow the correct path. So let's get all that set up. Now thinking a little bit through, I have done a little bit of this before, so we're gonna create a folder called models inside a breakable system, inside of replicated storage, and the folder will have we'll have two folders inside there. We'll have targets and we'll have turrets. All right. So now let's get some models. We could create these programmatically, but it's honestly best to start with the models. So we're going to need a balloon. We're just going to grab this one here again, pull it into the workspace, find the balloon. Okay, that looks pretty good. So looking for the oh, never mind. This is a mesh part and not a model. So there is no primary part. The mesh part is the primary part. So let's get through that. and take the balloon and stick it down into targets, because that's going to be our breakable. Now we're going to need a turret. And we're going to find a model. Let's use this little laser thing here. This laser thing has a script in it, not very highly rated, but honestly, we're going to kill that script anyway and likely not use it. But the script will kind of give you an idea maybe of the part names, and maybe help out the AI agent later in finding out exactly how somebody else at least thought of the structure. So it's going to have this script. I'm going to leave the script intact. I'll probably disable it, but let's put a note up here that we're going to probably delete it. This will actually, leaving these kind of notes in will help your agent later, so as it reads through the files. And so we'll put it into turrets, and now we have a turret and we have breakables. So now you notice we haven't really done anything with AI other than use the internal Roblox AI assistant to do some changes to the base plate to make it look sort of like grass in a very terrible way. But we're going to want to use a Rojo project. So in order to use a Rojo project, we put these models in. Unfortunately, in using Rojo, it only really works one way. As you do edits in your external editor, we're going to use Cursor. It will automatically propagate that into Studio via kind of a side channel server connection. It does not work the other way around. So if you make changes inside of Studio, it doesn't back propagate to Rojo. This is, in my opinion, the biggest roadblock to doing one of these kind of projects. Is really it needs to be bi-directional, because I don't really think you need to code inside of Studio, but you do need to create models inside of Studio and maybe rename them, add configurations, and some of that can be done inside of Visual Studio, but you, or in our case, Cursor, but it's less than ideal the way it's set up. However, that being said, there's a lot of grunt work of moving back and forth and saving files and pulling them back. That being said, if you want to use an AI assistant that actually codes fairly well, then my recommendation is Cursor, which means that you as the human is going to have to do a lot of this grunt work. So let's save this to a file. We're going to name this YouTube TD version 1 and save it in documents. Now, once we save that, we are going to I already have Rojo installed, but let's go and look at Roblox. So if you go to Rojo Roblox and you go to get started, it will come up with this little wiki style get started, and we want to port an existing game to Rojo. We're doing this because we want the models and stuff to come over. Your editor really doesn't care about the models, but your script's going to need access to them, and in order to, if you were coding this yourself, you would have in your brain space an idea of where all your models were, what the names were, and so forth, right? But now we're asking an AI agent that has zero idea what your project looks like. So you need to create stuff that your agent can view, so that it gives an idea of your structure. So the way I found so far to make this work is take an existing project. Even though this is a new game, we went in, created the map, created our breakable, which is a balloon, and got our turret, which is another model, and we put them in there, and then force structure inside of the game, and we will use is RBXLX to Rojo, which on my case I'm running on Mac, so you'll have to chmod that to a executable file, and once you do that, you can run it, and it will open up the game, or open up an explorer so that you can find the game. So we find our YouTube Tower Defense version 1, we convert it, and then skipping forward a little bit here, there you go. So we create it in documents, and so we end up with a folder, which is the same name as our Roblox file, which is YT_DD version 1, and inside of there we'll have source, and we only have a replicated storage. All right, so problem number 1. I think we're going to run into a problem. If you saw there, we didn't have every folder that we named in there. Let's go ahead and start Rojo and look how this works. So I look it up over here on plugins. I've already installed it. If you go down a little bit, you see that you need to open the command palette, which is Control-Shift-P on Windows, Command-Shift-P on Mac. And if you do that, you get this open menu, and you'll get an install. That's not installing the plugin, that installs it into your project, and then you can play it, which will create the server that you need to connect inside of Studio. So we go back to Studio, we hit connect. I think the first time, if I remember correctly, it will ask you for permission, something inside of Roblox that you really want to do this, and it's a kind of a one-time deal, and then after that you only have to hit it once. So you can see not everything came over. We have the models, the turrets, the turret gun, and the sentry, which is part of the turret gun, and that's pretty much it. So what happened? If you go look, the difference between all of these is that that turret, remember, had a script inside it. So it had a script inside it, and remember, your code, Rojo is really just meant to deal with code, not to deal with models or anything else, right? So if there's not a script, it doesn't come backwards. So you need to put some blank scripts in here. So let's put a blank script in server script service in our folder. In server storage, let's put a part that's called nothing. In starter player scripts, let's create a local script, and we'll eventually use this for deploying units, and so let's name it that, and then save it to a file. Alright, so we go through our process of opening up Rojo, RBXLX to Rojo, and which is basically a file to Rojo. Same process again, and let's see. Well, it looks like we have more stuff here. Yeah, I think it's looking okay. I'm sure there's not everything's right, but we'll deal with it as we go. Alright, so now we get to our AI assistant inside of Cursor. So I'm using Cursor with Anthropic's Claude Sonnet 3.5 3.5, which is technically 3.5, but everybody calls it 3.6 because there's two versions of 3.5. I have found that this is the better of the AI agents. It's not great if you run into problems. Sometimes switching to OpenAI's models will get you past the problem. The models are trained on not entirely the same data set, and they definitely don't have the same reinforcement learning afterwards, so they do act different and come up with different ideas and have different approaches. So I prefer Sonnet for the most part, but I will switch back if you run into problems. But so let's I've opened up Composer here, which is Control I for the Windows guys, Command I for the Mac guys, and we need to let the AI understand the project. In order to do that, we're just going to dump every server script that we've put in here into the project. So when you do that, it will not only learn what's in the scripts. Some of these things are blank, but it will learn the structure, and that's what we want to in this initial project. We want the composer to know the structure. So I just say, okay, this is a Rojo project for Roblox. Look at the structure we have. Except for some of the stuff that I want to put in there is missing again. So what did I do? Well, I didn't put a script inside a balloon. We're going to need that so that there's a structure to the balloon. So we go through the process again, add a script to the balloon, which is we're going to call follow waypoints, because that's really what we want our balloon to do, is just follow the waypoints. And we'll probably need a damage script also. We'll need a configuration, and we'll add some number values to that. Let's see, I think we'll need 3. We need speed, health. Well, maybe we don't need this third one. That's fine. Oh, maybe we can make a string value called color. We might need that later. We could just read it out of the actual color for the balloon, or we can just store it. That way we can have varied colors rather than just a base color later. Alright, so re-export our project. Open up. Now you can see that we have a balloon with a damage and a follow waypoints script. Now these may not make it, but what we are enforcing here is that we have a breakable system folder inside of replicated storage, inside of server script service, inside of starter player, and inside of the workspace, so that this becomes portable later and you're not trying to take spaghetti code, disjointed, and move it into a different project. So again, we add all these folders. There's nothing really great in here. Most of these are hello worlds that we just created, but it conveys the structure. So I say, okay, this is a Rojo project for Roblox. Look at the structure of what we have. I would like to have a balloon spawn at waypoint 1 and proceed to waypoints 2, 3, 4, etc. until all of the waypoints are done. Okay, not super elegant, not super technical, but that's what this project is about. Let's not do it super technical, right? And let's see. It is unaware of anything in the workspace. So how do we get around that? So we could type it all in. Like we could say the waypoints are in workspace, breakable system W, waypoints, blah blah blah. We could type all that out. which seems like a giant hassle and a lot of typing. So let's just take a picture of it and throw it in there and hit enter. Let's see what it says. Alright, so we're going to help you create a waypoint following system for a balloon based on the workspace structure shown in the image. You have waypoints foldered with number of waypoints. Let's modify the relevant files and create this functionality. And it starts coding for you. Now, this is sort of like the cheaters version of developing, where we're going to see if just the AI will work through these problems, and if it can't work through these problems, I'll kind of lend a hand. But let's just accept all the code. And then we go back and we test it, and we have an error. So, not unusual. This happens when you're coding yourself, and it happens with the agents, though the mistakes aren't always the same. We have attempted to call require with invalid argument. So require means that it's a module, but like, let's just say that no, we don't know that, right? And let's just paste the in there and hit enter. It says, I noticed the error is coming from trying to require the follow waypoints module. This issue is that follow waypoint script is set up as a .server Lua file instead of a balloon model inside the balloon model, but we need it to be a module script. So it goes and does some code. We hit accept, and the exact same problem. Okay, so not sure what's going on here. Mainly because I wasn't looking at the code as it happened. So let's disconnect, reconnect, make sure it's not a Rojo problem, and see if that fixes anything. Nope. Attempt to call with invalid arguments. Okay. Let's see. The follow waypoints module on line 4, which is where it is it named correctly? Wait a minute. We have a follow waypoint script, which we made to create the structure, and a follow waypoints module. That's probably, there's some conflicting things going on here. So let's rename that to follow waypoints module, a module called follow waypoints module. And yeah. So we can't really do that. Again, changes you make inside Studio don't backpropagate to the assistant. So, but we know, kind of have an idea, and so we say, tell the AI to do it. Change the follow waypoints module to a follow waypoints module to deconflict with the script. Blah 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 blah. Accept all. And hey, well, we get a different error. Infinite yield possible on wait for child waypoints. So if you've never done Roblox before, infinite yield possible means you're doing a wait for child on something that doesn't exist. So let's take a look. Hey, waypoints is not inside a workspace. It's inside a breakable system W. Let's see if the assistant can figure that out. Right. So I guess I'm gonna let's give it a little hint and say this is not the right path. Paste the error in. And then it says, oh yeah, I see the issue. It creates the issue, and then it says helps it like you created the issue. Now let's see what we got now. So we have infinite yield possible is the same error as last time. Let's look. So follow waypoints module didn't change. It does say that. So just going to manually change that. And let's see what happens now. Okay, same error. So I'm going to just put a little comment in here to make sure that it's propagating backwards. Okay, it's not there. Well, why isn't it there? I think there's some issues. Let's stop Rojo. Restart it. Disconnect, reconnect. Now the comment's there. Alright, and we run, and now we get set primary part for C-frame. This is not a valid member of mesh part. So let's take the error, stick it back in. If you don't know, this is because it's treating it as a model when it's a mesh part, and models have primary parts and mesh parts don't. Let's see if the AI figures this out. Accept all. Now let's see where we are. Let's run this thing. Well, we got a different error, but we're making it. Wait a minute, the balloons were moving. But we got like a parsing error for maybe a closing bracket without an open bracket. Let's just paste it in and go again. See what it codes. Accept all. Alright, the same error, but the balloons are moving. We forgot to anchor our waypoints. So let's go through. Let's anchor those right quick. So again, remember that this doesn't propagate backwards. For this particular case, though, it doesn't matter because we're dealing with something that's model only. There's no script, so we don't need it to propagate backwards. So let's just go ahead and anchor those things. And while we still get the error, we're getting a balloon. Hey, look at that. The balloon is flying where it needs to fly. We got progress. Okay, let's go see maybe what this error is. If you look there, I don't even see where that error is. Let's just paste it in. Oh, so it says, hey, we have old stuff that we need to delete. Can you delete it? That's all well and good. I could delete that. Let's see. And hey, look, we're running with no errors. And our balloon is going around. Hey, look, we got success. Our first half of mechanic is done. And the balloon's moving. So that's working. So let's go to the next part, right? So we're going to try to do this incrementally. The first step was to get the balloon to go around the corner. Now let's ask the AI assistant to spawn multiple balloons. Let's say that spawns a single balloon and it follows the path. Now, great job. Always reward your model. Weirdly enough, sometimes it makes it better when you do that. So now let's set up a configuration script for 5 different balloons with different speeds, health, and colors. Then modify the spawning script. Let's see. To spawn each of these balloons. Yeah, let's go with that. Let's see what it does. It's creating a configuration script. Changing damage. Changing follow waypoints. Changing server breakable script. And let's see. Dictionary is not a supported attribute type. this running in series over and over again. So let's cut a snippet out of that, stick it in. Oh, I see the issue. We can't set a table as an attribute directly. Instead, we need to set the individual attributes for each configuration value. Here's the fix. Very helpful. Fixes its own thing. So let's see. Hey, look at that. Now we have multiple balloons in different colors, and they look like they're having different speeds. They probably have different healths, but we'll probably figure that out. So, all right, let's just call that working for now. Go back to the AI assistant and say, okay, now let's create the system to make turrets. Let's use numbers for the turret placement. 5 configurations with different strengths. And then we can give it some examples like key 1, turret, color equals gray, strength equals 1, speed equals 1 per second, laser color equals red. You know, this is definitely not a valid dictionary, right? But it's getting the idea. Key 2, turret green, strength 2, speed 1.2 per second, color laser green, key 3, and let's, for key 3, let's just say ... You can make up the rest. Hey, make some architecture decisions here, right? We're going to do balance later anyway. And let it roll. Accept all. Let's see what happens. Alright. So, yeah. I'm clicking keys here. You probably can't see that. But nothing is happening. So, let's go in and tell it what's going on. Okay, say, okay, I can't seem to place any turrets, or at least not see any preview of placing a turret when I use the keys 1, 2, 3, etc. So notice that in that I said I can't see it, right? Or instead of saying it's not happening, because it could be happening, there are things that could happen. It could be spawning them underneath the map and they're falling. So at least say, or at least I can't see them. And let it roll again. And it looks like it didn't have a preview system at all, and it didn't have key detection. So that's why that wasn't working. Let's go see what happens now. Okay. Oh, that's not quite right. We have these blocky turret things, and they seem to be being placed wherever. And we also have an error, which is get primary part C frames non-member workspace dot red balloon. Okay. All right, let's go back and let's decide what we're going to do. All right, so let's take care of. We can kind of go in and look at this error. So this is a balloon. Where's the primary part? There is no primary part. This is the mesh. So, yeah, it's a mesh, right? So, AI Assistant told us that in Studio and say, hey, this is a mesh part. So it goes in, it fixes that. We're only going to fix one error at a time, make sure that we can get at least something running without any errors. Or obviously we didn't do anything to the turret system. It is still spawning all over the place. But they're shooting lasers out of their little blocky cells. Okay. Okay, let's go back to cursor and say, okay, the turrets can be placed and shoot, but they can be placed in the air. Notice that we're not talking about the models yet. We'll deal with that as it comes, but it's like they can be placed in the air. Maybe only let them be placed on the grass of the base plate, question mark. Let's see if that gets any better. Well, there's really no grass on the base plate. It's kind of just a texture that got added. So let's take a picture of what we have and send it. Let's add or the ground if it's not a path. And what do you think? Allow it to maybe do something that is better. So let it roll. Accept. Okay, now we're running into all sorts of errors for animations. I'm not sure what those are. I think these don't matter, but let's paste them in anyway. Yeah, they're character animations. Oh, and we still have things to get rid of. It hasn't deleted it yet. Let's just tell it to delete the files. All right. So now back to our original problem. Now we have red placements, which assumes that it's not where they're supposed to go, but clicking. This is not working. All right. Try to take a picture of it, and the picture didn't come through, but whatever. Let's just describe it. The turret placement preview is rapidly cycling from the ground to the air. It should default only preview ground placement. Let it roll. All right. So those are kind of working. They're not our turrets, but they're kind of working. Okay. Now, let's fix the turret issue. Okay. The replicated storage breakable system / model / turrets directory. There is a turret gun. Can we use this for our turret? Let's add some information in there. Okay, it seems to work now. So let it know that we're not working on the old problem anymore. We have a new problem. So let it roll. Let's see. Turret gun is not a valid member of folder replicated storage breakable system model turrets. Okay. Well, turret gun has a space in it here. Let's just rename that. I know we're supposed to be doing AI stuff, but I'm just going to do a quick fix there and see if that makes it better. Let's roll it. Okay. Replicated storage breakable system models turret module 103 attempt to index nil with breakable system RS. All right, let's copy it and go see what we can do, or at least let's go see what we can have the AI do, and let it roll. Huh. So we still have those delete files. It never actually deleted, which is weird because cursor can run command line stuff. Maybe I didn't set that up in this project. So anyway, let's manually delete these things because it keeps complaining about it. Yeah, so we're gonna have the same error. Let's go attempt to to stick it all back in there. Oh, wait a minute. We have the same error because we didn't accept the changes. We got a little distracted by deleting. It didn't accept the changes. Okay. Alright, so we have new error. Index nil with position, right? So again, we're trying to have something that is not existent, and we're trying to find the position of it. So let's paste it in there. Let's see what it goes. So we're trying to access primary part of the turret, but it's not set. It's going to code some stuff. I'm not sure the coding is really going to help there. So we get errors on line 4. Stop. Let's grab those things. Stick it back in. And let's add a note this time. In addition, the preview is not working. Can we preview with just a square part the size of the turret base? At least that way. I usually don't try to do 2 problems at once, but it's hard to debug when you don't even know if it's trying to do a placement, right? So now we actually do get a placement. When we click, though, nothing happens, and we get these gun is not a valid member of model workspace.heavy turret sentry. Okay. So now let's tell the preview is working, but still getting this error after placement. Paste the error in, let it roll. If you notice, the AI is getting a little slow, or context is getting really large. So we'll have to fix that when we get to a working spot. So we definitely don't want to get paused out, and also it makes the model confused after a while. So all right, same error, right? So let's try to help it out. There's a script in the turret gun model. You can look at you can look at it. This can be the model. Let's see. You can look at it. This came with the model and is by no means a good script, but it can be used to look on how someone else used the model. This is why we kept that script. Oh, I can't see it. Oh, it's because we haven't added it. So we got to add it. Let's take that space out of there. And then add it. Here's the script. I see this old style script. Let's do some stuff. Doesn't like the script. Didn't think it would. And okay. Placement's still not working. So in the live game here, we can see that they're actually being placed. Wait a minute. They're being placed. Nothing's in here. Let's look at the turret gun. Let's put it into workspace and take a look at it. Zoom 2, trying to find the model. There is no model. Well, I guess there is no model with no parts. This model doesn't. This model's empty. It's placing empty models. Okay. Let's re-import our turret guns here. So if you look at the original turret gun, it has parts. Look at that. It has 3 parts. The first parts are the bases. Let's rename those. to like front base, side base, side bases, and rear base. And then we have like the sentry part, right? We have beam, gun, part. That's fine. All right. And yeah, so for whatever reason, we lost the parts. So let's put it back inside the breakable system. Inside replicated storage. Get rid of the space. And look at that. We can create models. And they're floating, and they're shooting from the bases. So I'm guessing the primary part is wrong, or whatever. Something in the script is wrong, is finding the wrong spot. So let's go. Yeah. Try it one more time. Not any better. Let's look at what the gun looks like, right? So we have turret gun, sentry. What's the primary part in turret gun? Nothing. So like, let's say that the primary part is side bases. See what that does. Okay, now, so the script was clearly using the primary part to do aiming and shooting. All right, so yeah, let's change the primary part. So the primary part of the turret gun and the sentry, let's make it the gun. What are we doing? Oh, we're getting really close. The laser beam's not coming quite out of the right spot, and the old beam is just hanging out, anchored. So I don't think we're gonna... Let's see, let's take that back into the space. Let's see what the parts are. Beam. Well, we're creating that programmatically, so we can drop the beam. Try to look at maybe what's the front part of that model. Yeah, the gun has that little nipple, but I don't see any extra parts on that. So let's not deal with it now. Let's put it back inside of the replicated storage, inside our folder structure. Hey, look, now we have laser guns, shooting balloons, and the turret is on the right spot. Mechanic accomplished. All right, let's see. Okay, now that works. Okay, actually, we're at the point where we're getting really slow. So let's start a new conversation. Remove some of that context. So hit the plus, new conversation. We're going to have to re-add all the structure. So when you go to new conversation, it doesn't remember anything that you talked about before. Neural networks are feed-forward architectures, which means that memory really happens by recycling the entire conversation, which is why everything was slowing down. So we got to re-add everything that we think is possible, or think that is relevant, right? So let's just add everything that we can think about in here. Our project isn't super big anyway. Let's add that and say, okay, this works. So we're basically telling it, hey, this is a working project. I would like to make the balloons split into multiple balloons when they're killed. For instance, the red balloon base does not split, but other balloons, well, we want some to just change. Maybe not all of them split. See, the red balloon, which is space, does not split, but the blue balloon turns into a red one when it's killed. The yellow turns into two blue balloons when it's killed. You can make up the rest. We will balance later. All right, let it roll. Sweet. Let's set some turrets. Alright. Yay, they're being shot. I don't see anything spawning. Huh. Okay. It doesn't seem to be working, at least visually. Add some debug info to trace what's happening. So the problem with doing things visually is who knows what's happening. It could be spawning them under the map, they could be falling, they could be spawning inside the cave and not moving. Like, we don't really know if they're being spawned or not. So that's why I said visually. We're going to add some debug information. This is where AI really shines, is like, hey, just add some debug tracing there and you don't have to write any of it. It does pretty well with this. So we basically run it and now we got a full trace. So we tell it doesn't seem to work. Here's the trace, and we put it in there. So we don't see the debug prints from damage script when the balloons are hit or split. The balloon is being destroyed, but we don't see why. Okay, so it didn't do. I just bragged on debugging information. It didn't do well, but here we go. Run it again. Now we're getting a lot more debug information. And let's put it in again. There's the trace. Let it roll. Let's see where we are now. Bang, bang, bang. Hey, look at that. Something's happening. They're splitting. They're just not moving after they split. Huh. Or they kind of jump maybe a little bit. But it's not working as we want it to. Alright, well, let's take the, let's see. We're getting closer. Now the balloons split or change, but they freeze and don't follow the waypoint path anymore. Alright. Let it roll. Huh. No changes again. Looking at these things in running, let's take a picture. Let's restart so I can get a picture of actual workspace and some of the interiors of these balloons. This gives an idea of what they look like. Let's see. Back. They still freeze. It looks like the scripts are there. But here's a pic so you can check. Doesn't like the duplicate follow waypoints module, which seems very correct. You shouldn't be duplicating that, but whatever. Whatever fix it did, still not great. Not working at all. Same issue. They freeze with a picture. Multiple instances, same module. No kidding, you did that yourself. This is not going to be any better. Okay. I'm starting to feel like we're going to need an intervention. Alright, so I'm going to do an intervention. Still freezing. Could we use a follow script in the balloon and just pass the next waypoint at damage, at kill time? hey, yeah, it's a cleaner approach. No kidding, it's a cleaner approach. So I think that's my first real programmatic intervention that we've done. It was getting out of hand. You'll find that you get in these loops where the AI is just stuck on a single solution, and it fixes it, it causes a second problem, and then moves to a third problem, and then moves back. The solution to the third problem is the first problem, and you get stuck in these loops, and you have to intervene. Sometimes just saying, hey, change the approach works. Sometimes you need to restart the conversation. Anyway, let's look. Hey, look, we're breaking. They're splitting. Yay. Cool. We get a working mechanic. That works well. Great teamwork, right? I helped on part of that one, so it's teamwork. Now let's have 5 waves. Getting progressively harder. Yeah, just send that. Let it roll. Oh man. Okay, first wave is done. I thought it wasn't going to start, then it started. Okay. Alright, we got a second wave. It's kind of cool. Alright. Okay. That is also working, but there's a long delay after the last balloon is killed. Let's just send that. Let's see. It's using a fixed time delay, it looks like. So let's let it roll again. Okay. That seemed a little bit long. It was hard to see when the... Wait, that's because I didn't accept it. Alright, let's accept the changes. Alright. Alright. Now it's like a constant stream of balloons. I really can't see the waves being started in the debug tracing. There's just too much information in there that we're using to trace before. Very verbose. Okay. Okay, let's hide using a debug variable. The debug messages. Only debug the new waves or balloons that make it to the last waypoint without being killed. Let it roll. Accept. Still getting crazy amounts of debug information. Did I not accept? Yeah, I accepted. Alright. Yeah. Still a lot of debug messages. Paste that in there. Then it's like, hey, I have an idea. Let's clean up the other files. Hey, look at that. Wave starting. Kill the last balloons. Next, it got a deliberate pause, which is probably correct mechanics since you want to place new things. Okay. Oh, wave 4 started, so something else is going on in there. But you know what? It's a pretty good working mechanic. I think we'll leave it as is. This video is going to be insanely long already. So, yeah. That's about where we get. So what did we learn today? Well, I think that we showed that you can use a robust IDE using Rojo with AI coding assistance, but it's not going to be a fire and forget type action. It is definitely going to take a little bit of programming knowledge still, but it is certainly more productive. I've cut this video down, but the whole thing from start to finish, the original time was about an hour and 59 minutes to do the entire thing from entirely scratch and talking about what we're doing as well. So yeah, no, I think it can be doable. I would really like to hear from you. Are these useful? Would you like to see more of these? If it's not useful, I guess I'll find out in the stats in YouTube. But anyway, cheers. It was great presenting for this for you, gang. And until next time, see ya.